So we're here with Jeff Hood, and we're with the Mega Brain, which was brought here to the Lewis County Fair this year by the UP Coalition of Lewis County.
As well as Stop DWI Lewis County, Lewis County Youth Bureau, and Mountain View Prevention Services.
Okay, so Jeff here with Mega Brain, and this is Cassie Forbes with the UP Coalition.
Yeah, and also Excelis gave us a great grant through the hard work of Cheryl, so.
Okay,
yeah.
So what's the point of the Mega Brain?
So the Mega Brain is just, it's visually impressive to look at, and at its core it is a teaching tool so that we can engage people and talk to them about mental health and just the physical health of the brain and the various pathologies that can happen to our brain over time that a lot of people encounter, or they have family members and friends that also have encountered these issues.
Okay, so this is going to be here all day on Friday from 12 to 8.
That's correct.
Okay, so Jeff's going to take us through the Mega Brain here really quick, and we're going to check out what's going on.
Right, so we go to the interior of the brain, and there's a lot of information in here, and as people come through, we like to just engage whatever catches their eye, but we are specifically here to talk about substance abuse issues. So a lot of this is designed to talk to people about what addiction is and what it is not and what it looks like. So most of us encounter addiction either in our personal lives or through family and friends, or just seeing people that are in the throes of addiction. And what we like to talk about is that addiction hijacks a process that makes us successful in the rest of our lives. So when we do something, whether it be like in sports or get a good grade on a test or do something nice for a friend, we feel good about that, and we feel good because we get a little hit of dopamine. So we have a illustration here talking about dopamine as a neurotransmitter. And people get, when they get dopamine like that, it makes them feel good. And that starts a process by where your brain says, that feels good. And then another part of your brain says, I want to remember that feeling. And then a third part says, I want to make sure that I repeat that behavior so I can feel like that again. And while that makes us successful in the rest of our lives, that is a process that can be hijacked by highly addictive substances. So when we do an addictive substance or use an addictive substance, what happens is, whether it be cigarettes or heroin or meth or anything else, we get, hundreds of times the amount of dopamine is released. And just like your brain would normally do, your brain says, that felt amazing, I want to do that again. Let's remember how to do it, and let's make sure we do it again when the next opportunity presents itself. And that is addiction at its core, and it's often perceived by the public as a moral failing instead of a disease process. Anything, just like depression or anxiety or bipolar disorder, there's a process to addiction that happens to us. And we also like to show that addiction lives in the limbic system, which is sort of a grouping of some of the more primitive parts of our brain. These are some of the earliest parts of the brain that were evolved, and you find it in much more basic creatures also. But it's an area that governs very simple aspects of our mental health or our psyche, such as like sleep, our sleep-wake cycle, our emotions, things like hunger, anxiety, fear, that all lives in the limbic system. And it's an area that's a bit beyond rational thought. It's very hard to think your way out of being hungry, just like it's very difficult to think your way out of being addicted to a substance. That's why people need services and supports like Mountain View and the UP Coalition provides. So that's what we're here to talk about. And we have a lot of other information here about things that people encounter, like epilepsy. And behind you there's Parkinson's. A lot of people will have grandparents or other loved ones that get Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's. And those also have to do with neurons in our bodies and sort of the pathologies that happen when prior to encountering full-blown Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. All that has to do with the electrical transmission that happens on neurons. So neurons transmit a signal from point A to point B. It's actually one cell. It's the longest cell in the body. It can start, they can go all the way from your toes to your spine, but that's only one cell. So largest cells in the body. They have little sheets around them to help with the transmission of the electrical signal. They actually jump around these sheets, but when those sheets start to break down, you get diseases in the disease process like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And then coming out here, we do like to talk about strokes. So a a stroke. A lot of us will encounter strokes in our lifetime, or we will encounter loved ones of other people that have had that. So there's two basic types of strokes. A hemorrhagic stroke is where you have something like an aneurysm that bursts, and then there is a bleed in the brain. They're highly fatal and they are quick, unfortunately. We also have various facts on different substances that are used in the brain, kind of scattered around here. So this is one on marijuana. The other type of stroke that you have is an ischemic stroke, and ischemic is just a fancy word for lack of oxygen. So that's when a blood clot that starts somewhere else in the body, like say your legs, travels to your brain, gets lodged there. Blood cannot get past it, which means oxygen in the blood cannot be past it, and then parts of the brain start to die. This is something now that is highly treatable if we act fast. So if you get someone to the hospital in about 1 to 3 hours, we have clot-busting drugs that save a lot of lives these days. And so there's a lot of information on strokes. And addiction and physical brain health are closely tied. People that become addicted to substances will often do other things like eat unhealthily or smoke cigarettes, and those directly lead to things like strokes and high blood pressure.
Okay.
That is about everything.
Okay. So as people come through and tour the brain, you have people here that'll be able to answer questions and things like that as you
I'm
go through.
here till 8 p.m. today and tomorrow. We have a whole host of people with the UP Coalition and Mountain View here as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time today, Jeff. We really appreciate it, and very educational experience. So we encourage everyone to come out and check out the Mega Brain.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yep.